Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Tuesday, August 1st. This is Gina McGuire. Over the next few days, we'll continue to have very hot temperatures across the Great Basin with near record highs over western and northern Nevada into Idaho, where high temperatures in the valleys will exceed 100 degrees. Relative humidity will also remain very low with poor overnight recovery in hanes of 5 or 6. Lightning over the next couple of days will largely remain in the higher elevations of Utah into southern Nevada, with a few isolated strikes up into the Sierra, but will be increasing and spreading northward as we go later in the week and this weekend. Over the last 24 hours, we've seen lightning generally over the higher terrain of Utah and in the Sierra, with generally light amounts of precipitation with the exception of parts of southern Utah into the Arizona Strip that saw over a tenth or a quarter of an inch of rainfall. Fire activity has been light over the last 24 hours, with 21 new fires reported across the Great Basin. Over the last 1 to 2 weeks, we've seen precipitation largely concentrated over the southern half of the area associated with monsoon moisture, but even in areas over eastern Idaho and Wyoming, we have seen some precipitation which has been above normal. And again, over the southern half of the Great Basin is where precipitation has been well above normal over the last couple of weeks associated with the monsoon. However, very dry conditions continue further north. How this has reflected in our fuel conditions, ERCs are still climbing over Idaho into northern Nevada again after a brief reprieve from moisture last week and are above the 80th or 90th percentile. This area over the central Idaho mountains, ERCs are approaching records with 1,000-hour fuel moistures at record lows. Over northern Nevada, ERCs are climbing and are now near to just above normal. If we look at the 10-hour fuel moisture, which is more representative of our lighter fuels, you can see very dry conditions really over the western half to two-thirds of the Great Basin. The satellite loop from this morning shows that strong area of high pressure dominating the west, and this will again suppress convection and also keep temperatures very hot and near record-breaking in those areas. We do have the remnants of Tropical Storm Irwin, but it is moving westward further away from the west coast. However, this deeper moisture down south will eventually work its way north as we move later this week and into this weekend. So as we move into today, again, we are highlighting the record heat over mainly western and northern Nevada, and conditions continue to dry out over areas further east. Again, today lightning will mainly be concentrated over parts of Utah into southern Nevada, with much drier conditions further north. Relative humidity in the drier areas will be in the single digits to low teens, and be a little bit higher, especially over the higher terrain where we'll see that convection today over mainly central Utah up into the Uintas, the Arizona Strip, and possibly back into southern Nevada. You may see again a few isolated strikes in the Sierra, and can't rule out a few isolated strikes even in southwest Idaho, but again, that activity that far north will be very limited. As we move into Wednesday, the ridge really starts to build north, and that record heat expands further east across northern Nevada. Moisture will start to move into a little bit further into southern Nevada and up the Sierra, so we'll see a little bit more lightning as we move into the Sierra on Wednesday, but most of that should stay out of Nevada. Also rotating around the area of high pressure from the northwest, we have a little feature that may trigger a few isolated storms over far northeast Nevada or southern Idaho on Wednesday, but again, coverage would be fairly limited with most of the lightning further south and east. Wednesday will likely be the hottest day of the week, with high temperatures possibly near 105 over parts of the valleys of western Nevada and in the low 100s for Boise. Relative humidity again remaining very low with these hot temperatures in place and higher down south. By Thursday, the ridge again remains in place with hot temperatures and near record heat over Nevada. We will start to see some of that moisture start to work its way north, a little bit further north towards the Tahoe Basin, so we could see some lightning a little bit closer to Nevada in the Tahoe area and also possibly a few buildups into western Nevada. But again, the bulk of the moisture still remains to the south. Low relative humidity continues over the northern half of the basin on Thursday, and you can see on Thursday where that weather is expected mainly over the southern half of Nevada and southern half of Utah, so we will see more lightning coverage pushing north into Nevada. Overall forecast amounts of precipitation again remain concentrated to the southern areas where we'll see that moisture in place. Things get a lot more interesting as we move Friday into the weekend as that lightning pushes north in areas that have been very dry with record temperatures over the next few days, especially over western and central Nevada on Friday, and we have highlighted that western periphery up into northwest Nevada for the return of lightning as we move into Friday. These storms will likely start out dry and may transition to a mix of wet and dry as we go into the nighttime hours, with activity potentially continuing into the overnight over Nevada. Wetter conditions again will continue further south. As we move into Saturday, that moisture starts to move further north across most of Nevada, possibly into far southwest Idaho. So we are highlighting putting high risk for lightning in areas of Nevada where we expect that higher concentration of lightning to be a mix of wet and dry. And it will start moving up into Idaho as we move into Sunday. So it will stretch up into Idaho, into northeast Nevada, and over into northwest Utah. Again, these thunderstorms initially will be a mix of wet and dry, with likely wetter storms starting to move into western and central Nevada by Saturday or Sunday. Therefore, we're not highlighting that lightning. But we will likely see lightning in most areas through the weekend. As we move into Monday, moisture really starts to increase and spread north, so we'll likely see even the potential for wetting rains up into Idaho and in areas further south. And you can see how the dryness levels have reflected that, generally increasing moisture in all areas, with the exception of possibly the west central Idaho mountains. But it does look like lightning coverage by Monday might be minimal over this area and mainly pushed further east. Overall forecast amount of precipitation for the next 7 days shows that moisture pushing north. We will see wetting rains increase, especially as we go later in the weekend and next week across the Great Basin. Looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook, which takes us towards the middle of August, still warm temperatures in place, but that above normal precipitation signature now pushes northward into the basin, because once we see these thunderstorms return to the area, we'll likely see continuous lightning activity each afternoon and evening for some time. That concludes our briefing for today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you for listening.